brute force. If it doesn't work, you're just not using enough. You're listening to SOFREP Radio. Special Operations Military News and straight talk with the guys in the community.
Hey, what's going on? This is Rad, and this is another awesome episode of SOFREP Radio. That's right, I have a great guest today, but first, before I introduce you to him, I want to tell you about, say it with me, the merch store, Rad. That's right, we have sofrep.com/merch. So you go check out our merch store. You can pick up any cool branded items from the guys and gals behind the scenes, choosing these items for you to wear, rock, write with, drink out of. Go check out the SOFREP merch store and keep supporting us. We appreciate it, okay? And don't forget, hashtag SOFREP Mafia if you want it to be shared out there on the socials. Number 2 is the book club. Now, I talk about it often. I talk about going to the gym, going boxing, doing something for yourself. Well, reading a book is a positive thing for your mind. It's also the way that you can lift weights with your for a gym for your mind. So read a book, and we have the sofrep.com/book-club. That's book-club. Those of you that are already in the book club, we hope that you enjoy the curated selections that are out there. And those of you that are just listening for the first time, go check out the book club or a book, period. Okay, that's in a book. A period's in a book. Go check it out. Now, without further ado, I have former FBI, undercover, Crips, what's up? Going in hard, Teagan Broadwater on the show. Welcome to the show, Tegan.
What's up? Yes.
Oh, bro, you're flashing that. Oh, yeah, you learned it. You learned the sign.
I'm just copying you, baby. That's it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't put this on. It's red. It's not blue, okay? So Crips are blue, Bloods are red, right? Let's just be clear.
That's true. That's true.
But Tegan, something that we all have inside of us is red at the end of the day.
That is true.
Right?
That's true.
Okay. Right? No matter if you saw a Crip shot or a Blood shot, they probably all had red blood.
I'm sure you insulted somebody somehow saying that, but you're exactly right.
Yes, and I'm trying to get at that, those are children. These are people's kids. These are brothers and sisters that are pulled into this lifestyle that you had to infiltrate yourself. And let me just give a little bio real quick here. I just want to say, gang wars are, they're just out there and they're active, and people are dying over nothing, over a color, over a bandana, and to them it's so serious that it's life or death if you're wearing a color. And you could be just walking down the street somewhere on the wrong block wearing the wrong thing, and you just get smoked for it.
Yeah, it's still here.
It's still going on, right? That's not a joke.
No.
And that's why I preferenced it like, these are sons and daughters and fathers and mothers who are in these things that sometimes get pulled in without even maybe being want to. Now, real quick about Tegan, his little bio. Tegan is a creative CEO, a musician, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and an author of Life in the Fishbowl, the harrowing true story of one cop who took down 51 of the nation's most notorious Crips and his cultural awakening amidst a poor gang-infested neighborhood. In 2008, after a 12-year career as a professional musician and a successful 15-year career in law enforcement, he launched Tactical Systems Network, LLC, which is a high-end security protection consulting and investigation firm. Tegan's unique background in business, music, and rare deep undercover work ignited a passion for making a positive impact. This passion has taken shape in a creative company he founded to promote projects that spark productive conversations between different independent thinkers to create understanding and appreciation, even in disagreement. Most days, Tegan runs the business, records thought-provoking music, works out, writes, and shares fine whiskey with his sons or exclusive bros. But he especially enjoys spending invaluable time with his best friend and wife of 25 plus years, Holly, simply doing whatever she wants. So welcome again to the show, Tegan. And it's nice that you have a support group with your wife, Holly, in your back. And
man, yeah,
I wish she was
more
on.
than once.
Oh, I bet you. I would like to ask her. Well, first of all, you guys were married when you went undercover?
We were, yes.
So my question to her, maybe she can answer it to you later, is, what was that like for her to have to watch her husband go and do this and sometimes not let her know nothing about it, and she knew something was going on in your head? Yeah. I guess props to her for being so strong and supportive, for a sounding board for you, someone to check in on, shout out to the wife there for you.
Amen. Yeah, she was actually a key player in keeping my focus, when I started going off the rails a little bit. So yeah, she's been wonderful.
And rails is not referring to cocaine. We're not talking about a rail of cocaine here, okay? He's not going off those rails. Although I've been studying about how to approach a conversation about cocaine, okay? So I learned that. So a kilo is 2.3 pounds, okay? So just tell me, you were a young man wanting to become a cop? Is that how it started in your life?
Shoot. Since the fourth grade, I was an aspiring musician and then became a professional musician after going to music school studying music. So actually, that's what I did until my late 20s, traveling on the road and stuffing myself and my brothers in the 87 Suburban and sharing beds and days ends, traveling around and playing music and doing the thing. But
what music are you playing here? Like, tell me the style of genre that you enjoy.
So this was, and still is, something I quite enjoy. It's kind of a mixture, a perfect blend of like rock and soul, I would say. Real groove oriented kind of stuff. It was a multicultural band, and most of the bands that I played in were multicultural. So a lot of the premise behind the tunes and stuff were kind of unifying, which is still a lot of what I stand for. So, and it also kind of paved the way more than anything into undercover work, because, working around creatives and people from different cultures and going into the most dangerous areas of town just to have band rehearsal and, being ignorant to the fact that you're in a dangerous area was part of the beautiful thing that I experienced young.
As a young man, what is it? Guitar? Are you rocking out on the guitar? Is that what you're doing, or
Right
trombone,
now,
or what?
Right now, I kind of play everything. I wouldn't consider myself a master instrumentalist at the extra things, but I started off as a drummer and a vocalist. Preparing for music school, I took piano lessons because everybody has to play piano in music school, and started honing some of that. Played drums and sang, and then as I got back into the music industry late in life, I grew frustrated with the way musicians do business, which is on their own timeline. It's so much like doper time and gangster time. It's unbelievable. But, we'd have a session and then everyone's showing up and we're knocking out all our parts. We're trying to do a, commercial music session or something like this. And this is just, 6-7 years ago when I got back into it. And the vocalist would show up 3 hours late. I'd be like, dude, I'm out of here. I'm not sticking around for this. So I thought that's what inspired me to start picking up other instruments. That's when I picked up guitar, so now a lot of the tunes that I put out are all myself. For what it's worth, at least, if it takes me 50 times longer to get a guitar take that works, at least I'm on time.
Yeah, exactly. It's on your time. Yeah, exactly. You're like, hey, man, 3 hours.
Yeah.
No, I've been in studios with guys. I've been behind the board while they're recording, and people are like rushing the drummer. It's like, yo, you don't rush the drummer, bro. If you don't like how he's playing, you can quit behind the board. This is a true story. We were at the Osmond Studios here in Provo, Utah, and my buddy at 16, he was just like throwing down the drums, right? And I was in the studio while he was doing that. And the two of the dudes, they were like older Hessian dudes. They're like, bro, we got dates. It's like 10 o'clock at night. But the guy that owned the studio is like, you don't rush talent like this. You hear me? You just don't rush it. And they're like, bro, and he's like, you got to make a decision right now. You either go with them, the girls, or you stay here and you record this dude for his track. And I'm just sitting here on the back seat, just like kind of watching these guys fight while Dan is sitting in the studio getting ready to like lay down another track, and they're arguing about trying to get out of there. Well, long story is, he said, okay, fine. They left. He said, you're fired. He pointed right at me. You. I was like, what? He's like, sit right here. I was like, okay. And he's like, when I look at you, you hit this button and that's the record button. You got it? That's your job. And I was like, all right. So I got to record my homie laying down the tracks for his band at 16. He's now a professional drummer in a large rock band that is traveling, just got done with Australia.
Love it. Love it.
So to know that
Yoko story.
Oh, bro, it's crazy. To see this, just to know what you're talking about, right? It's like, you said their time. It's like, well, you're literally in the middle of this dude sweating, dripping sweat on a drum set, and you guys want a jet, and he's still like
for a chick.
Right. Which you lay down the track. Yeah, it's crazy. And so, that's cool, bro. I love rock and roll. Obviously, there it is. Okay, there's a connection between you and me. I do love rock and roll.
What do you look
And
for?
again,
What do you like?
I listen to, well, The Used, Nine Inch Nails, Pink Floyd, just to kind of give you, I like Taylor Swift a lot. I like her old stuff, her new stuff, everything in between. I'm currently rocking out to Refused. If you guys know who Refused is, they're a little bit of a heavier, got a message kind of song.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, just Willie Nelson, mamas don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. It's just a little bit of everything.
Hang on. Yeah,
Oh yeah, hit the button. That's right.
Record.
Highwaymen. Just that kind of Tom Petty, right? Just that genre. Mark Anthony's pretty cool. Pitbull. I like me some Pitbull. Hey.
Man, you're all over the place, but that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. Those are just off the top of my head. Joan Jett rocks. Seen her a bunch of times. Just saw Billy Idol. I just saw Billy Idol.
Really?
I just saw Billy Idol sing all of his songs. Amazing.
It's beautiful that he's still out there doing it, right? I mean,
75 years old, and he covered the whole stage, and he took his shirt off, and I don't know if it's real or not, but he had abs, dude. I was like, is that just, he opens up his jacket, and he's just like, white wedding, and I'm just like, you got abs. That's all I can think about is you're 70-something with abs, bro.
yeah.
So
You and I can just use CGI for that here in the next year or so, but otherwise, you got to appreciate the humanity, at least for now.
Exactly. We could probably talk music all day, like Creedence Clearwater, love me some Run Through the Jungle, it all. Yeah, I drive a Jeep, a big red Jeep with a top off, and so I have a good system, and so that's what we're rocking out is that kind of music. And so, rock and roll has always been something in my life, and music just helps to soothe my soul, and those are like the bands that I listen to. What kind of music are you listening to give my audience a little bit into your mindset?
Man, it's kind of tough for me without having to go back. There are some newer cats that are doing this crazy stuff like Ando San and stuff like that. They're playing some crazy guitar stuff. But I just had one of my dream interviews a couple of days ago with Doug Pinnick, King's X.
Oh.
And, such an innovator and sweet dude. It's just great to have guys like that in our world. And one of my old bandmates, similar to you, one of my old bandmates is, plays for The Who and, picks up, other gigs around here in LA and is uber successful. And he's also one of the sweetest people I've ever known. We've been friends for 20, 35 some years now.
Sure.
And, it's just, I love listening to music, but it's also great to hear stories behind those. Like you said, you have bands that you're listening to that have a cool message. I think as little as I listen to lyrics, I think once I find out the backstory behind an actual person, it really helps me to appreciate the music more.
Agreed. And a friend of mine, Bert McCracken, he's the lead singer of The Used, good friends of mine, great friends of mine. He has a lot of messages in his songs too that not everybody has to agree with, but he has something put into his music. He writes his music. It comes from his heart, and when I think he's the only guy that can ever sing like he sings. He's just got such a unique way about doing it. Those guys, they're great. I love a good message. And let me ask you something. While you're going undercover, okay, what kind of music are you introduced to that you're having to always listen to? Tell me.
So that's a great question. I don't get asked very often. So, but it did play a key role.
I'd imagine.
Obviously, like this, coming out of being a musician, I rely on music for emotional charge, and I'm we're talking about mid 2005, 6, and 7 when I'm running undercover. So you're talking about whatever the rap game was back then. It was it wasn't anything innovative, but it was closer to the old style than it is the new style. And between me loving funk and soul, rock and roll, and also playing into some of the rap stuff, I used to crank this band called Dirty Worms,
Mm-hmm.
and they were a big band out of Austin, Texas, and it was like a combination of somebody that would play like I don't know who to compare it to in terms of musically, because it was hard driving guitars and real grooving drums, and then they had just a serious rapper over the top, but it's musical. You got choruses, verse, bridges, everything else happening in there. But it was the closest thing that I could relate to being in that scene and amongst all those kids who were listening to all this rap music. And I say kids because even then I was 35 pretending to be 25 and they were all 25.
Right. So Okay, well then, okay, so we've got the music conversation going. I think my listener, if I was my listener, they're like, well, Rad, go back, start sooner with how come he went in undercover. That's what I think they want to know. So what drove you from going from musician to law dog to undercover?
Yeah, obviously I respect the fact that's a 180, and I think so. Significant occurrences that happened was I had a kid in '95, and I was already growing weary of the music industry itself. I loved music and I loved writing music and participating with the group, but traveling on the road and bowing down to a bunch of cokehead club owners in Oklahoma City or wherever you're traveling to was just growing tiresome. And then when I had my kid, I thought, man, I don't want to be gone. So, but at that time, I'd have spent my entire life since fourth grade aspiring to do just that, music. So when I thought, well, what else am I supposed to do? Literally, the world was my oyster. It wasn't like I tried to figure out, like, what can I do that's related to the industry and this and that and the other. I just started thinking of all kinds of wacko things. And I had a side gig with a band when I was off the road I played with, and several cops used to follow us. And they mentioned police work and said they would, love to make a recommendation for me and everything else. And so I thought, man, that seems so whack, but so cool at the same time, right?
You call yourself whack because it's so whack, bro. You're like, being a cop is whack.
It was.
And you're like,
it seemed like crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm a peace and love hippie musician, whatever. And they're like, man, be a cop. I'm thinking, really? But then the more I started thinking about it, the more I thought, man, I'm like really a people person. I can relate to just about anybody from any walk, even coming up through school. I was friends with all the jocks and friends with all the heads and musicians, whatever. I just could get along with people. So I thought, it's kind of a relational job. And just the excitement part of me and the ambitious part of me just said, I definitely want to aspire to work undercover. I just thought I would really do well there. So once I got in, I did nothing but put in paperwork to try to get into the worst side of town, the highest crime rates and everything else so that I could get experience, because I'm going in green as ever, and learned about the people there and learned to understand that there are neighborhoods there that are just held captive by this crime. It's not that everybody there is bad guys. It's the bad guys are so overwhelming to these people that are typically poor that they don't have a way to out. You're like, hey, you should move from this neighborhood. This is a terrible neighborhood. Well, they can't afford to just up and move.
No.
They've been there. Their families have been there since the 30s and 40s, and they have now these old houses and established neighborhoods, and these 18 to 30-year-old kids are out there shooting each other, bringing in prostitutes and dope and selling guns and ruining life for everybody. So at one point, the city council and chief of police got together and said, look, there's a particular part of a bad side of town that cops used to deem the Fishbowl. And we deemed it the Fishbowl because every time you went in, there's one way in, one way out, little 6 square block area. If you pulled in there, you were absolutely seen, and you better have some business there because it was a place of business for Crips, and tons of shootings and lots of death and destruction happening within that side of town. And so the city council got together and said, how do we combat this? Spare no expense. So the narc division starts doing jump outs and, unmarked vans and just kind of trying to pull people over, everybody that moves in and out of there, writing warrants and kicking doors and trying everything they can to no avail. So there's just nothing happening there. And by that time, I had accrued some experience working undercover just in the patrol division, which is kind of a whole nother story, and I don't have to get through that, but I had some experience and managed to, on my 4th application, to get into narcotics. And that was when I had this amazing epiphany of genius and pitched it to my boss at the time, who was my sergeant, who ultimately facilitated this entire undercover operation, and said, look, I want to go in. I can pose as a big time dope dealer in order to get to the gangs, because obviously everybody knows I don't look too crip.
Yeah.
So I pose as a big time dope dealer that just had their source busted by the feds. I'm from South Texas, so I'm kind of not from the area, but I'm trying to reestablish my game. I'll go in undercover, work my way through, get the head of the snake, and we'll eradicate it from the inside. And then after about 5 minutes of belly laughing from my boss, I think he realized that I was serious. And
Right.
then kind of gave me permission, because I had I had a list, having worked in that area, even more ironically, in uniform, I had lists of people that on my target list that I knew to be involved in the gang stuff and everything. So I also went to my wife, speaking to my wife, and said, hey, this is kind of a big deal. Most people don't do long-term undercover deals anymore. They usually just kind of go in and try to make a bust. And, if you can give up somebody, cool, but then they just bust them and move on. I said, this might last 2 or 3 months, and I'd really like you to have my back. And, she gave me permission to do that. And unfortunately, for both of us, it well exceeded 3 months.
How long did it go till? What was
18 months.
18 months, just about 2 years undercover, as this high-profile dealer trying to root the main person out. Now, if I read a little bit, that person that you reference is someone who is not dumb. There's people that are super smart. They're just disenfranchised growing up, and what they learn is the streets, but they learn them with almost a doctorate of college aptitude of how to do this. And they're like, hey man, if you would have gone to college, you would have been this. But instead, or whatever it is, if you would have chose any other path, you would have been just as good. But instead, you chose your choice, which is, being in the Crips.
Very well put.
Yeah,
very well put. These kids in these poor neighborhoods that grow around gangland have a ceiling, and they just feel like, normal corporate jobs are like not even in the cards. So everything that they consider, they get from watching their cousins or their friends up the street who are making $1,200 a week, moving dope or selling guns or pimping or whatever. And that's kind of the pinnacle of success for them. And so that's what, when you get a smart one and you don't have a father figure or any kind of mentor that shifts you in a direction that shows you, dude, there's not a ceiling. It's going to be a hard road, but there's a road. Then they take the harder one. And, in this case, this guy was a Crip from a very early age, had a real estate license, owned car lots and storage facilities and everything else and I will put a footnote because most of us can't completely relate to this kingpin, but you gotta, the trade-off is, hey, I'm gonna go do 20 years in prison at some point, but he's also pulling about 200 grand a week, which is not what normal people pull at a corporate job.
No.
So that trade-off, I don't think most of us would take anyway, but and not that he saw it, the writing on the wall, but they all talk pretty candidly about, like, I know there's going to be jail time in my life, and that's just kind of how I live. But I think a lot of it's because they just feel like they're forced into choosing the best of two evils as opposed to realizing there's a straighter path.
Right, and they could even be a nice person and like just have a really good je ne sais quoi about themselves, like an oracle. You're like, hey, this guy's great. Why would I turn him in? Look what he provides everybody bread on the block.
Exactly. No, it's exactly right. And especially when they're good people, it makes it more difficult, even for people like me, because I learned in short order. Look, people from different cultures, we know that we should have better understanding and everything, but I think as even a community of people who are in the middle, I think it's we agree that criminals, and especially violent criminals, are people that we want to eradicate, from our communities. But even in this case, being around violent criminals for this long a period of time, I found so much humanity and commonality. It was pretty remarkable. Now a lot of these guys need to be locked away forever, but an amazingly high number of those guys, we talk about the same thing: music and what music
right.
into, what football team do you like, man? I mean, we're going to sit down and play Madden and share a Magnum 40. And
Right.
I got as much street cred playing Madden as I did actually moving a kilo. I really did.
I totally believe you 100%. Like what you're saying resonates. I'm a kid of the 90s, growing up. I graduated in 95, 96. So Madden I totally, and in 2000, 2005, 6, 7, dude, that's what's on is Madden. So
yes.
They're just looking at you like, okay, well, and what I've learned is I've had some other folks on who have gone undercover, and I asked this one FBI agent, he had to get in, he busted this guy named Hassan, who is the FBI's 22-year mole to the KGB, and he had to go in for 5 years as his like little mentor kid or whatever, and like try to learn from this main guy to figure out who's leaking this intel. Eric O'Neill, I just had him on recently, so he's another undercover guy. But man, you guys, I said, so in order for you to have done what you did, you have to kind of go into the web itself and try to find the spider's nest. That's kind of like, you have to get into it, playing Madden and drinking a 40 with these guys. There's probably blunts being passed around and everything else being passed around, and you're all around all of that. You have to embed yourself in a world of crime.
Yeah, and it was really just relating yourself to these guys, because part of the conundrum that I faced versus most undercover deals, especially those deep undercovers like the guy you had on, is that I lived in the city 20 minutes away. So it was something where I had to really fight these guys, not only looking like I look, and everywhere I go, I've got the 20 questions and have to, overcome all this inquiry and establish my street cred, but I also have to go home and check my six every night too. So, and there wasn't really a day off. A lot of those guys will travel in and out of locations and be present for the part of the week and get to come home. I'm not talking about that guy, because obviously some of these cats are extraordinarily talented. I'm just talking about this experience that I had. Was that I really burned myself out because I had 7 days a week where I had to just show my face. I didn't have enough money to spend all those days, but the point was, in order for me to really get embedded, I had to endear myself to them and vice versa. And I feel like that was part of the oxymoron of this whole thing, is that, look, it's a necessary thing to do. All these guys go down, but like you said, the guys that go down with the worst of the worst are also the guys that have social redeeming value, and I really appreciate as people and hope the best for it. They all have to go to the same spot,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like they're just kind of like I said at the beginning of the show, I just wanted to preface it that we all have red blood inside of us, right? Even a Crip.
Yep.
Just want to let that be known, and it's just if it gets spilt over something, what I feel like is frivolous over, drugs and drug money and racketeering, it's just a part of that whole domino effect. And being disenfranchised, I'm not sure exactly what state this took place. I know you mentioned Oklahoma. Is this still Texas? And so, predominantly in gang culture, especially in Crips and Bloods, I think of LA.
Yeah.
I don't think of Texas.
That's where it was born.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was certainly born there, in the, in the 70s primarily, and it grew, and we had some transfers that came over, either transferring across, via their parents where they moved, or through the prison system. Because once you start populating the prison system, then you grow those gangs, and you grow those gang goals, and then they just, they're everywhere.
That's classic with MS-13, right? They get here, they infect our prison systems, and they get shipped back because they're, doing bad stuff here, and then that's already infected, and then you have that going through the whole thing. And I guess something to point out, and you can correct me if I'm wrong or agree or just nod like, what am I saying? But, I kind of blame the Boy Scouts of America for the reason why we have so many gang violences in the areas of Compton and, Long Beach and Inglewood and all those places, because, all the young men, and yes, I'm going to say they're young Black African-American males that wanted to be in Boy Scouts, okay? So you have Boy Scouts going on in the early days of its creation. But you also had racism very strong, which said we don't want anybody in our Boy Scouts who aren't like us. So the Boy Scouts said, no, little Black Billy can't be in the Scouts because he's Black. Okay, so what you have Billy and all of his friends who can't be inside of a place that could have helped teach them to procure wood, to set up a tent, tie knots, everything that any 12-year-old boy would want to do, right? I don't know if you've seen the meme, but racism isn't born, okay? It's kind of taught. And so, you have a 12-year-old who want to tie knots and start a fire and go get some food and, bring back their merit badges, but one side of it's not allowed. So what do? They go to the local baseball parks and they sit around on their bikes and they're like, we ain't got nothing to do because we can't join the Scouts. And they're like, well, this is our baseball diamond. So anybody that wants to come to this baseball diamond has to deal with us. We would have been a pack, a Boy Scout pack, right? These kids, they would have been just fine wearing their Boy Scout sashes, the whole 9 yards. But you know, disenfranchised, racism, you know, the early days of Boy Scouts getting pushed to, you know, just a certain culture. And then, you know, now today it's allowed, but, you know, having everybody, it's inclusive, but it's a little late. So you have all these people claiming neighborhoods that were supposed to be Boy Scouts.
Yeah, that's a fascinating comparison. And right or wrong, I think also you miss the communal aspect of that. I mean, doing all those activities is one thing, and doing them with a group of people together and learning together and working together to have a goal that is a noble goal is the significant part of that that's missed also.
Right, and it just kind of probably made those kids mad, like, well, why can't we do this? You know, I could do this, and he's like, yo, we can do this, let's just do our own thing. And next thing you know, you get your own troops, okay, your own packs, but now they're Bloods, Crips, Golden Knights, I think is out there, like all these different gangs, you know, that had nowhere to go in the early day. They were just shunned from society. And that's my two bit on kind of how it comes around.
No, I'm with you. I don't know specifically about Boy Scouts and how that worked, but you know, I do see that the racism that once existed in full force then became hidden, and then generationally it becomes just people act in a certain way because that's the way things work. Even if it's not as bad, it is just, it changes the behavior of a generation of kids. And so that's, you know, that's part of why mentorship is so important at a younger age. That specific thing. I mean, you know, you could, I don't know how crazy the Boy Scouts are right now with all the issues that they have, but similar programs to that, I think now could still be valuable if you made them inclusive, and at least you got to start with a small amount of people. If you could help one person figure it out, you've accomplished a lot. And if all of us thought like that, then we wouldn't have a giant disparity anymore.
Yeah, Troop 20 here in Utah. Shout out Troop 20. What's going on? My son's troop right now, Boy Scouts. So I went through Scouts. My dad was an Eagle Scout, you know, and you know, I just feel that you know, and I've read some things about the Scouts, and that's kind of, I think there's like a whole documentary about Boy Scouts with the youth back then and how they became owners of their own baseball fields. And that's where the names come from for the gangs, is from their baseball fields. Like, you know, Compton had a baseball field, Long Beach had a baseball field. The kids could play baseball, couldn't take them off the baseball field. So they would hang out at the baseball field and just kind of form up their own little scout packs, but doing other things just on their bikes, you know, doing whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And today they're pretty inclusive. I do have to say that our unit here is pretty inclusive with all the sorts of different individuals, you know. So that's good to see. And being a part of it, I get to, you know, also make sure that it goes that way, you know.
Yeah. Hey, and I appreciate you for that. Yeah. I do appreciate you for that. I know you didn't tell that story to, you know, in a self-serving way, but no. I have a great appreciation for you. So we do need people like you that are investing time in mentorship, because that's really, that's how the world's going to change, man. I mean, people our age are thinking the way we think, and you can change some of the way we think, but the multiple minds are really the most important right now.
I completely agree. And, you know, I just, any of the youth out there that are listening to this, you know, you're the future, right? So you guys got to just own it and just know that it seems a big, daunting task, but one day I was told I was the future. And so here I am today. And one day you were told, you know, Tegan, that you're the future of this nation. And we have to just be the best stewards of what is within our capabilities to control and, you know, take care of those things.
Yeah, and especially the things that you're doing, which are that kind of embrace humanity in general, because I mean, this newer generation is going to be really run by AI with all the jobs changing over and everything else. So highlighting things like that too, that are human centric, I think could be even more particularly valuable.
AI, make my knot. AI, start my fireplace. Wait, no, that could probably happen, right? No, AI, make a fire. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm in the woods. Yeah. Oh, dear AI, if you're listening up above, can you please give me something to eat? Yeah, no.
It's one of the few things you can rest on, man, because there's a lot of other things. Those pattern recognition that's going to be taking a lot of those menial tasks that are valuable to people. So I think those are some of the few things that I think will keep the essence of the world connected. So I appreciate you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And, I'd say that the young men and women in Scouts today, which I'm also happy to see, there's both sides. Like there's Troop 20, Troop 80-20, all girls unit, all boys unit. In fact, we had one of the first girls get their Eagle Scout. And then also, just to show equality here, we went to camp 2020, 2021 during COVID, and it was all dicey. It's like, can we go? Everybody has to wear masks in the woods, et cetera, et cetera. Well, one of the young girls, she was 15, she broke the boys' record in a lake of swimming a mile. Like, she broke it. Yeah, it's been standing for a long time, and she broke that record. I was so proud of her that, just one of the guys, high five, and seeing that you can just blend everybody together and, boys, girls, they all want to learn how to start a fire with 2 sticks. Boys, girls, they'd all like to rappel down a rock together and learn that safety mechanism. It's not just, you belong here. This is your lane. You can't do this. Only boys can do this, right? So I do love to see the whole thing mashed together. So it's good. It's smaller than it used to be, but it still does exist. And so,
that's awesome.
It is awesome. And I think that, and then we go talking about you going undercover and talking about, drugs and racketeering and all these crazy things. I mean, drive-by shootings. This is going on in Texas, right? You're talking about Texas, right? See, and I was just referencing where LA area, but in Texas.
Yeah. And I'm in LA now. I see the parallels. I live in both places. I live in Texas and in LA. So I get perspectives from both spots, and it's it's the same folks. Your criminals are criminal, and you just gotta again start figuring out how we keep this cycle from occurring to where these criminals get put away. We rounded up 51 Crips, put them away for a high number of years in the feds, and then we recognize, okay, now we have literally this operation had 104 kids left without a father figure.
Right.
And we know that statistic. So it's like, okay, well, how do we go back and fix this? This is my part in infiltrating and making the arrests was key, but it's not an ender. I mean, you've got to then follow up and mentor the kids that are left behind in order to keep this from being something that has to happen in 20 more years. Right,
because chain of command, take the head off and it just regrows. It's like how someone steps up into that leadership role. Wow, yeah, I mean, God, that's crazy, How do you handle that one, It's like, kind of a military aspect, right? You got foot soldiers. It's like Ninja Turtles. You got the shredder, you got the foot, the foot's leader guy that's like, the shredder has to tell what to do. If you've seen Ninja Turtles, I'm talking the first 1989, 90 version Ninja Turtles with the foot. You call this your family. I am your father. The shredder, right?
Yeah.
Well,
in this case, I think we took so many of them off the street in that one area that it was difficult to necessarily have somebody step right in. Although, as you and I both know, that's inevitable. But the key in our case was figure out how then we can get a mentorship program for these kids.
Right.
That's the only thing that ever inspired me to write the book, because people were talking about, once this came out and they figured out who I was and hitting the media and everything else, then that was, part of the inspiration. They were saying, you should write a book. I'm like, what for? Undercover work is never intended to be something that's self-glorifying, because usually nobody even knows who you are anyway. But in this particular case, once we found out there were that many kids, that's when I thought, man, I'm going to tell this story in the most unbiased form that I can, and we donate all the profits of the book sales to charities that mentor children of incarcerated parents, because really that's the only way to close that loop.
So life after the Fishbowl, is that right? Is that what it's called? What is it?
Life in the Fishbowl.
Oh, Life in the Fishbowl. All proceeds go to help children whose parents are incarcerated, right? Like within that lane. Okay, that's very cool, bro. And you're just like, you just want kind of like, there needs to be a program like the YMCA was available. That was a thing where they could try to get off after school programs. You know what I mean? Like, hey, my son's over here. I know where he's at for the next 3 hours while I'm still working after school program, but they just get kind of like lured at 10 years old, 11 years old, start missing school. It's like, then the path starts,
Right. And, most of it is just a lack of accountability. When you don't have a father figure, your mother's trying to do everything she can, especially when you're in a poor neighborhood. They're working long hours and trying to hold it together, and then you're left alone to your own whatevers. So you're right. These after school programs at least hold you accountable, and give you a sense of responsibility and goals. And some of these mentorship programs that we support are doing stuff like teaching, third graders how to give a firm handshake and stare somebody in the eye
Correct.
when you're introducing yourself, and teach them how to apply for jobs, and also math tutoring and whatever.
Be confident.
Creative arts, things,
Yes.
anything.
Yes, and just and then if they're young and they get into an after school program like martial arts in the area, or scouts or baseball or whatever it is, swimming, the gym. Now there's a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu out there. Maybe they can go on to joining the real gang, which is like the Marines. Okay, if you really, 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 really want to be in the baddest gang, because you're bad, but you're still good enough to get into the baddest gang, you should look at the Marines. You should look at the Army. You should look at the Air Force. You should look at the Navy, because those dudes don't always need a Boy Scout to do the job. In fact, they need someone to snatch grandma out of the car, take the car to complete the mission. So not every, you can have a chance to go to the Marine Corps, serve your nation, wear the same uniform. I promise you, they all throw signs at each other in that. Okay, it's a salute. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a wonderful analogy, because most of these guys, by the time they get to military application age, have already effed themselves, because they've got a criminal record.
Correct.
And everything else where they're ineligible. So,
or they went and served prison time already, and they're like, man, I should have just joined the military. I should have just went through the military. I should have went through boot camp. I should have just swore an oath, got a paycheck, got a uniform, had someone who loved me that yelled at me, and then I could come see my mom and take care of her, or take care of my little brother and sister. They can come stay with me at my house, whatever the case is, because now you're actually, doing it. You're living life. But if you screw up right now, and if you start screwing around at 16 years old and you get a felony and a 17, 18 felony, you're not going to be able to join the military.
Right.
And you're going to say, what did I do with myself? And then you just fall back into that same domino there.
And the self-loathing and everything else that comes with doing prison time, and then getting out, and then realizing, okay, now I'm a felon, so my job choice is just reduced by about 60%. So now what janitorial job do I want? And, or
I'm going to be a chef.
Yeah.
Nobody hates a felon chef, dude. If you're a good cook, you can get a job anywhere, okay? Tattoos on your face and your hands, but you make the best eggs, you're hired, dude.
Hey, it's a great outlet. You got to find some ways to put that into somebody's mind before they realize, as soon as they get back out, they have an opportunity to link up with those same fools that put them behind bars in the first place.
That's right. And just remember that if you're listening to this and you're, living life, there's life to live as long as you choose the way to go. There's a lot of options right now that you can participate in. If you're a young man listening, or a young lady, you don't have to be in the gang life. Join the military. See what that's all about, right? And bring one of your friends with you to the recruiter's office and see what they say.
Amen.
It's so true. Now, I'm scratching my head, right? Because the other part of me comes out in this undercover aspect of trying to decentralize the gangs here, okay? And so you get rid of 51 guys. That's got to make the rest of the guys nervous about who's who among themselves, without realizing why that situation transpired. They maybe never figured it was you. They never, didn't. They thought it might have been a dude that got sent off. It could have been one of their own. I don't know how you played it to where it wasn't you. We know it's you now because you've confessed and talked about it, but they didn't know at the time it was you.
Well, not during the actual operation, no. But by the time we rounded them up, I was on paper. So that was, that's when everybody realized, holy moly, I've been working with this cat for the last 8 months or 10 months, whatever it was. And they're realizing, man, T's a cop, and I'm screwed.
I'm screwed.
So, Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely was, had to come out and testify. Although, for some of the cats that I really did like, I testified on behalf of their character so that the judge would perhaps consider giving them less time. But I was only able to do that a handful of times because, there's a lot of mistrust at the end of that, obviously, because
Yes.
in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I really do care that you get less time. I really am rooting for you. But, you know, if I've been hanging out with you for that long and we got to know each other one way, and all of a sudden you find out that
Bro.
I'm actually a cop, and this was all a front, then it's going to be hard to believe the next thing I say. It was part of the torment of the roundup for me anyway. Emotionally, it was really a draining experience for me emotionally when that thing happened and wrapped up after all those days, after all those
Yeah,
years,
because
rather.
you might saw someone who was doing something that seemed like Robin Hood for his family or something like that, and you're like, oh, he's just taking care of his mom who's got MS, or like he's just like, trying to get bread for his little brother, and you're just like, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just, bad decisions are bad decisions. It's not like they didn't think it was a bad decision. I think when you use the excuse that, hey, man, I'm just trying to feed my family, I think it's a cop out, to be honest with you. But I do understand it more contextually, because I understand in poor neighborhoods, it's a lot more difficult to actually come up with significant amounts of funds. But again, that's part of the educational process that needs to be followed up with. This has been going on generation after generation. It's about time we teach these kids that there's a high ceiling for everybody,
Yes.
and that feeling sorry for yourself because it might be a longer road for you doesn't help anybody, starting with yourself. So just ignore how hard this is going to be and embrace it and say, look, the fact is I can do this all my life, and I don't have to be the dad that's in prison the whole.
Right. Embrace the suck.
Yes, it really is, man. I think we have less and less generations these days who actually want to work. They keep trying to find, like, how can I figure out how to get this new career where I can work less and get more out of it? And I understand the efficiency of it, but you literally have people that just don't want to sweat anymore. There's no appreciation for hard work, and they still want the rewards that come at the end of what normally would have been earned through hard work. So
So what you're saying is ditches don't dig themselves, okay?
that's true.
And we need ditches, and we need things, and we need infrastructure, and we need hard workers. We need foundations for buildings to be poured. I need someone to wake up at 4:30 in the morning that's tired and wants to put planks on the scaffolding to set up for the mason work on a beautiful house that's going to be built. We have to have hard workers out there doing these jobs because, otherwise I don't see AI mixing mud, 40 scoops, and laying 5 tong of brick up 5 scaffolding. I don't see the workload from AI. It's got to be us. We have to take that on. And, I do joke all the time that I don't dig ditches, but I have, and I did do some brick mason work and was a hot tender, and I know what hard work is, and that was it, and it kicked my ass, dude. Pardon
Builds
the French.
character. Yeah. And you don't have to just pick up a laborious job for it to be hard work. I mean, you just starting a business or whatever that all these people think that is an easy road, which is the most ridiculous notion ever. It's just the fact that you have to invest time and effort into something for it to be truly rewarding anyway. So, trying to find a shortcut before you've actually earned any stripes just makes no sense to me. And I think we're teaching people that it's okay to find the easiest path before they actually have an appreciation for what is hard.
Right. And I guess we can kind of blame social media for a lot of that, with this fast thumb, tap, touch, swipe, upload and pictures, and here I am living on the Caribbean, but I don't really even have a real job, but you need to be here too. And it's like, every photo is like, it's so perfect here, or it's so perfect there. I'm like, show my dirty room right now. Show my bed unmade. Let's do that. Hey kids, let me take a picture of your room, When someone brings me food, I'm like, you better make it Instagram worthy. And they look at me at the restaurant, and I'm like, because you don't know if I'm taking a picture or not, bro. I want it to look good, It better be Instagram worthy. It comes out pretty Instagram worthy.
If that's motivation to get your order right.
I tell you what,
idea.
it better come out Instagram worthy. It's like, okay. Does that look like spit to you?
please be only spit.
Oh yeah. Oh dude. Jeez, bro. Really, I love everybody, okay? All my hospitality workers, my servers, everybody in the industry, thank you for being there and taking the job to serve me, and I'll get you, if you're my server, I promise you'll smile when we're done.
That's hard work too. That's hard work.
Oh, your feet. Oh, I have nothing but the utmost respect for people who work in the restaurant business. Holy cow. Front of house, back of house, me sitting down, expecting it all just to go perfect, and then they're making the scene happen. You don't even see it. It's like, hey, where's my potatoes? Why are they not golden? My customer said golden. He's got $20 on it. Let's go. You know, I mean, geez, dude. Oh, I didn't know our conversation was going to wind up with me being hungry at the end of it.
But it's a good way to end. Is like, hey, I got to go get something to eat.
Yeah.
You can always kick me off that way. What am I supposed to say?
I might just go get me some stacks of food. You know, I go boxing every day. I burn my calories. I believe in, having some type of structure every day with boxing or outside activity, like whether it's snowboarding or, I do a lot of airsoft war games. And that's where we use replica rifles that are just like the real thing, but they shoot a 6mm BB. And then we go and we have like 200 or 300 people together from the ages of, 9 to 99. All right. And then they're just playing war games. It's like big chess for me. I have 500 acres of desert out in the west desert of Utah. We fight on it all the time. I have an indoor shoot house in Layton, which is just here in Utah, which has 10,000 square feet. And so I have a lot of folks that come after school and they sweep. They sweep all the BBs up in the warehouse for 2 or 3 hours, 14, 15-year-olds. And they earn passes to come and play because it's $20 to play there. So it's like, where does a kid get a job at 14, 15? They come in, they ask me, hey, you hiring? I'm like, I never say no. And I call the Department of Human Labor or whatever here in Utah. I'm like, hey, how does the amusement park here, how do they get away with hiring 14-year-olds that haul the trash cans around the amusement park all the time and sweep up? And they said, oh, well, they just can't work more than 3 hours a day on a school night, and they can't work with heavy equipment. And I'm like, can they be 11? And they're like, well, as long as they're following the rules. And I was like, so you can have an 11-year-old? I really ask these questions of my labor people here because I have a business. And so ever since then, I've just always had like 14, 15-year-olds sweeping BBs, cleaning it up a little bit. And then they come in and play, again, the after-school program aspect. I charge $20 for 4 hours. That's $5 an hour for your 15, 17, 22-year-old, whatever, to be inside my shop playing war games while you're getting off work at 6:30, right? 3 to 7 is the fight. So again, with the same type of scouting mentality that I have that my dad had, that I've been involved with and everything, I still bring that to my business, I think, the baseball side of things.
I love that. What do you say? Can I ask a question, since even though you're the interviewer?
Sure, please.
How do you respond to people who feel like that is perpetuating a violent frame of mind? Yeah,
so I'd rather them control it and get it out of their system inside my shoot house than uncontrollable somewhere else where it's a lot worse, right? So there is this fine line that I walk with war games, okay? And my belief is that as long as I keep it along the lines of, okay, you're the shortstop on the team, you're the first baseman on the team, okay, you're my heavy hitter on the team, what kind of gear do you have? And I put them together and they have a camaraderie of sportsmanship involved, and at the end of every game we high five and shake hands, just like at the end of a baseball game. You go to home plate and everybody slaps each other's hands from the other team, good game, win or lose. We also have the ability to say, like, hey, nobody is allowed to use derogatory comments to one another on the battlefield. It's one thing to bring me the damn ammo. It's another thing to call you a damn MFer. So we don't allow that kind of conversation. We don't allow any type of physical touch. So we've been social distancing before it was ever cool, right? Because we have minimum engagement distance. It's like, you can't shoot me with this unless you're 50 feet away. You can't shoot me with this speed unless you're point blank away. You can knife me, but you can't use a hand to knife. So we want hands to self. So what we teach is, I may have my, training knife in my hand because I got so close to you, I'm behind you, I'm going to use it, but it's not your hands. So we just have this barrier of like respect to one another on the battlefield at all times, integrity to do the right thing when no one is looking, which is calling your hit, because there's no paintball marker or anything like that on your uniform. You get shot, it's like tat, 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 tat. You're like, oh, I'm hit. That you really got me, and you knocked a tooth out. Okay, I'm hit. All right. Yeah. And then there's safety. So if you can't climb it, hump it, jump it, embelay it, or do it safely, it's not worth it in our world because it's airsoft. the guys that enlist and go off to do the real battle, or guys that have enlisted like yourself to face harm's way, you don't get a respawn. It's not a video game. So we get to like thank the warrior that goes out ahead of us while we sit back and do these war games here under our blanket of freedom in America. Now, some kids will never have the opportunity to join the military, and they should, because they have asthma, or they were born with a premature eye when they were like 2 weeks preemie, or something happened to them that was out of their complete control, but they are A grade, good to go, should be in. And it's like, why? Oh, well, someone said somewhere you had asthma. You can't join. Well, those guys, where would they go if they didn't have a place to go with all of that in their head? So the war game scene here allows you to come together, and I have guys like you, I have guys like me, I have kids with asthma, we have moms that come out, and then they realize that they're welcome to play. And I mean, yeah, then you have a mom who's dressed with her 15-year-old in full battle rattle, wearing like the best designer face paint. She's like, Rad, have you tried this one? I was like, I have not, Mama Nuke. She's like, here, give these black stripes a little smear on your face. Because I usually wear like 3 black stripes when we go out to the desert. That's my, turning into that guy. And I tell you, it just wipes, it comes off. I like it when it blends with the sweat, and it doesn't like stick in my pores. So it's like, when a mom and a son could come out and fight and feel welcome out there, and not like they're not welcomed, or, when, the world can airsoft. In fact, if the world did airsoft, we would have a better, safer place, because nobody would really die.
Amen to that.
They'd be like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow, man. That was a good fight over that street. Dude, yeah. Great loadout, by the way. See you tomorrow. So I hope that with what I answered you back here, my attitude and my passion for what we do, this is what we bring to that here. I can't say that's for every single place, but here in my circle of influence, as a COI, as the military calls me, that's what's up.
I love it. I was just curious, because I know, there's all kinds of dissenters these days, and at every extreme.
100%.
So,
100%.
I just appreciate an explanation that at least somebody, if they don't completely disagree, would certainly at least understand where you're coming from at that point. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think that if I was to say who doesn't really agree with it, it's my Marines. So if I get somebody who's salty and been there, done that, they're like, you're just glorifying something. And I'm just like, yeah, I understand. You've actually seen somebody pass, or you've been involved in firefights and things. And, I'll take those lessons humbly from them, and still apply it to my community as a whole, and always say, hey, remember, we're just the snowflake on the tip of the iceberg of what combat is all about, guys. We're just the wind that blew the snowflake. I don't even know how to say it. Because the iceberg's so big at the bottom of the ocean, you can't see it. It's so dark and blue and just violent when it flips up, and it starts to crack and pop, these icebergs. And so I usually say combat is an iceberg. You just see the little tip sticking out. But underneath that is a whole lot more going on to the situation. So, respect, integrity, and safety. We just try to preach, those 3 key fundamentals to everybody that comes through our process, our Pez dispenser of warriors that come through. And again, I know that you're supposed to be the one interviewed, but you interviewed me, so I'm opening up a little bit to my crew here.
I asked you.
We have a lot of folks who have joined the military through our endeavor. Over my 22 years of running war games here, I would say there's probably over 500 bodies that have come through my house that have joined the military. On record with the Army for a majority of that, and then just, hey, now I tell people to go National Guard. So when they come through and they're wanting something, I'm like, why don't you go Guard? Because then you stick around, and if something does go down here in Utah, you know who's going to be next to you in the trenches, right? Okay, so stay Guard. Stay Guard with me, homie. Stick around, or go reserves. Go reserves. You want Marines? Go reserves. Or infantry reserves. It exists. You can go reserves, and you can still work a job that gives you a paycheck of like $2,000 a week while you're still serving the nation and your local community. So that's the National Guard. I think they like me around here, and the Utah Army National Guard. There you go. There's a plug. Utah Army National Guard.
Yeah, it sounds like you just got a sponsor.
Oh yeah, they're great. A lot of the recruiters, I call them career advisors. They're they really mean well. I talk to them often because they're always like, hey, Rad, do you have anybody that's running through your game? And I'm like, look, you're not allowed to poach. If you want to meet my potential conducts, you've got to play.
Come on.
And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, yeah, go shoulder to shoulder with these kids. Come out to the trenches. Don't be the sergeant you are right now. Just come out and fight. And then when they bump into you, be like, hey, what's up? Good job. Oh, yeah, you're in the Army? Oh, that's cool. It'll organically happen.
That's interesting. That's great.
Hey, thanks.
Speak to people? I mean, I'm not sure if I completely understand that. Talking to a person in person, that's crazy. But imagine that, because a recruiter has to work on Saturdays. It's a part of their duty. And where do they go? They got to go somewhere. They got to set up a table and say, hey, what's up, kid? You want a can of Copenhagen and a enlist in the military? But if you're out in the desert and you're wearing your battle rattle that you already have, and then you come out and you've got some airborne jump wings on your chest already, someone's going to say, hey, wow, you're airborne? He'd be like, yeah. Oh, are you still in? Yeah. And you play airsoft with us? You approve us to play? It's like, yeah, this is great, dude. You're getting up, you're getting down, you're running back and forth in the desert, you're staying hydrated. You guys are, someone's got medical kits on them. It's kind of like a Boy Scouts, but just, the Boy Scouts would not give me a merit badge in '07. So the Army teamed up with me to try to get the Boy Scouts of America to make airsoft a merit badge. They're like, Rad, let's get this official. Let's try to get a merit badge for airsoft. They came back saying, we like what you try to do, but you're not procuring food. Come on.
So it's like, touche. Okay, well, at the end of the day, my dad blames himself. Before he passed away, he's like, I'm sorry you love this so much. I'm like, why, Dad? He's like, I'm sorry I introduced you to the Armory and growing up as a Green Beret kid. He's like, I'm sorry I introduced you to that at such a young age. I said, why? I love it. He's like, that's why.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But again, that's the military who's lived it and experienced it in a traumatic way.
Yes.
Feeling that way, but you're like, man, I don't see it that way because I haven't had that experience. So it's
right. Right, and I'm sure if I had,
crazy.
But I have many people who have confided in me. I've been hit up through Instagram from veterans and people who are on their last dial just hitting me up randomly, hey, Rad, can we talk? I'm like, my wife's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, I don't know. But I think that they're just like not doing well right now and they just wanted someone to talk to. And then the next day I come back and say, hey, I just woke up, you good? How you doing? What are you wearing today? Did you go to get breakfast? And just try to reply back to them, make sure that everything's going good. But, yeah, I'm cool with it. And I'm still that way. So if someone does reach out to me, I'm still going to be an open heart and open mind to that individual. So 100%.
Love that too.
Yeah.
That's great. So all you have to do, in other words, to get your merit badge is to change the policy to you eat what you kill.
That's right.
And then you're procuring food.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? Don't mind
Glad it could be of some service today.
Don't mind the mock grenades in my chest plate carrier. Don't mind those. But that's what we do, and it gets pretty intense, and we do just large scale war games, bro.
Love it.
Thank you. And anyone out there can look me up, find it. It's here in Utah Airsoft, of course. But my guest today is Teagan Broadwater, who has put himself into harm's way for the real deal to try to salvage life in his community, I guess you could say, from the Crips. And, and dude, your book, Life in the Fishbowl, it's out right now, isn't it?
Yes, sir, yeah.
And we can get it on Amazon and all the places that books are sold, right? And I bet you would like this. I bet you would like me to say, hey, go buy the book. All proceeds go to the children of incarcerated parents through the organization, and leave a review down below where you buy the book. So if you buy it on Amazon or you buy it at Barnes & Noble or you go to local mom and pop shop and say, hey, can you get me the Teagan Broadwater book in the Fishbowl, please? That's cool. Go to the local shop, hit them up. If not, leave a comment down below so that it can help bring the book to where it needs to be, or the writers, the authors can kind of see feedback, which is what they would like to see. Oh, hey, in this part, page 3, I relate to that, or in this part, hey, that's not how a submarine would really dive down. Leave that in the comments. Let these guys and gals know what you think about their writings, right?
Amen.
That's right, dude. Do you have a movie coming out about you?
Man, we were attached to had Scott Bernstein out here, which is what started bringing me to LA pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And Scott Bernstein was produced Straight Outta Compton, so it was a perfect alignment of people with the right kind of connections and the right vision for the story. And it started as a movie project then, but then when COVID hit, they also had the Aretha movie, which came out, right as COVID started taking over. And COVID kind of wiped out the movie industry. And really, I mean, we already had TV series and stuff coming about before that. But once those theaters shut down and COVID hit, everything now is a series, as you know. And
Yes.
it's hard to find good stuff at the theater. Not that I don't still root for it, but that deal only fell through because of COVID. And, my staunchest negotiation stance is that, hey, if they don't make a movie about this, then my life is perfectly fine anyway.
Yeah.
But I do have lots of people making inquiries. It just really has to be the right deal for me, because what I don't want this to come out as is some kind of Batman story where I'm kind of some kind of superhero guy, because this is a real story about real humans. There's two sides to every story, and I have a great appreciation for that. And there were people that I liked. So if you presented the story in a long form TV series, I would love for people to, similar to something like The Wire, where you know the good guy needs to win, but at the same time you kind of like this bad guy character and you kind of hope he gets away with it because you kind of like him, but getting away with it's not good. You're tormented by that conundrum of kind of liking the character, and that's true to life, because that's how I felt going through those motions. I really felt attached to some of these folks, knowing they were about to go down, and it was tumultuous at the very least.
That's wild. That's cool. I hope that something comes your way that fits your bill that you'd like to see happen. And I know I've had you for good over an hour, but you're so cool to talk to, and we can just go back and forth. I want to show my listener, hey, you and I just kind of met today, and we've had this conversation going back and forth. It could have been over Madden, dude. We could have had this conversation while playing Madden, okay?
I think I suck at Madden now, but I used to be quite proficient.
Oh, you would remember the specials. You would remember. It'd all come back. Triangle, I don't know, however you play PlayStation, Xbox. But
See, it's been a minute.
Well, I hope you much success. I will wind down the show today saying thank you to Teagan Broadwater, who came on to the show and spent time with us to talk about his life inside of undercover work, exploring me a little bit more and just trying to get to know each other as human beings on this earth. And I hope you take what I said at the beginning, that we all bleed the same blood at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if you're a king or you're a pauper, it's all red. So with that said, I want to wish Tegan a rock and soul kind of day, and say that we had a great time grooving out to our conversation. I appreciate that. Hope to see you play a show someday in my life, and then I can say I know that guy and I'm proud of that guy. And then if you're thinking about joining the Crips, talk to your local Marine Corps recruiting career advisor first, and let them know your job plans, okay? And see if they can help you. And I guess go check out Life in a Fishbowl. Thank you for your publicist for sending you our way. You have been a great guest, and you're welcome back, because I'm sure there's a lot more that you could expound on if you ever wanted to, or if a movie happens, or you're like, yo, Rad, we didn't talk about this, and this. You're a welcome person back to the show, so thank you.
Well, man, thank you for that too. And I think there's a lot of symmetry here too. So you let me know anytime. I'd be happy to go back. It's a pleasure to get to know you. You seem like a really cool cat.
Well, thank you, and I will. I'll take that for all it's worth. And on behalf of Tegan and myself, Rad, and the crew here at SOFREP.com, including the merch store, okay, and to you, the new person that just came to our life, welcome. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify or anywhere, thank you. Turn it up, crank it up, share it out there, and tell your friends that we're here and we exist, and we'd love to have them listen as well to our show. So again, Teagan Broadwater, thank you so much for being here. Life in a Fishbowl. My name is Rad. On behalf of Brandon and everybody here at SOFREP, saying peace.
You've been listening to SOFREP Radio.